wanted to make this video to help explain how my class operates, especially during remote learning, and then the purpose of breaking these units into 4 sections and allowing students to work through these sections at their own pace. So I'm going to show you how to navigate the website and then give you some of the reasoning why I believe this is the most effective way to learn, both during remote learning and also when we're back in the classroom together. This is something that I did before remote learning even started, and I think it's just as successful to do inside the classroom as when we are doing remote learning. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and explain. So this is my class website. It's mrtannerblevins.com. When you type that in, it'll take you to the social studies homepage. When we switch to science second semester, it'll redirect you to the science homepage instead, but it'll be the same web address. So on here, this is the video I'll be making right now. So this is going to be our how to navigate the classroom video. And then at the bottom, it will have our list of units. So it's hidden a little bit behind the screencast by recording, but we have our unit 1, Intro to Social Studies. After we finish that unit, it'll drop down and I'll introduce unit 2 up above. But let's just take a look at Intro to Social Studies for right now. So when we click this link, it'll start by taking us to the green circle page. And the teacher that came up with this is an avid snowboarder, and he uses this to talk about differentiating learning. So the idea is that, if you're starting skiing or snowboarding for the first time, you're going to start on a green circle hill. They're not very steep, they're wide, so there's lots of room to navigate when you're just learning. And that's the idea here. When we introduce a new unit, we're going to start with the things that are the easiest to comprehend. And then as we move throughout the unit, these skills are going to build on one another so that they can increase their skills, become more advanced. So eventually when they've mastered the green circle material, they will get to move to the blue square and start working through the blue square materials. When they feel like they've mastered that, they'll move to the black diamond section. And then finally, there's going to be a double black diamond section, which is almost always a culminating project that takes a lot of what we've learned throughout and allows students to kind of demonstrate their learning in a project form. So if we look at this, this is unit 1. It's not 100% complete yet because I'm still building out the lessons and working on that for students when they start on the 24th. But it's enough done that I can demonstrate how this will work. So when they first get to a section, they're going to want to look at the long-term learning target. So this is the learning target for the entire unit. And by the end of unit 1, I will know the basic organization of the earth, the 5 themes of geography, and the elements of a culture. So that's what we're looking at for our Intro to Social Studies class right here. It will then tell you what section you're in. This is green circle, and it will then give you the learning target just for the green circle. So just for the green circle portion, you're saying, I know how the earth is organized into hemispheres, continents, and by latitude and longitude. So right away, students know that this section is going to be focusing on how do we organize the earth. Then we're going to be looking at hemispheres, continents, and latitude and longitude. After the learning targets, they're going to be introduced to their tasks. And students are going to need to complete these tasks sequentially. So they will start with task 1, and only once they've completed task 1 to a satisfactory level should they move on to task 2. And this is where it gets a little bit trickier during remote learning, because when they're in the classroom with me, anytime they finish a task, they show me, I go over that assignment with them in person and say, this is what you did really well. Here's some areas that you could improve upon. And they go back and they revise their work and then they show it to me again. So it allows for a really instantaneous feedback and revision cycle, which is so important to learning. During remote learning, I'm going to attempt to go through the grades our work students are done on a daily basis. That might prove to be a little bit too much, and maybe I'll get to them every other day. But it's going to be really important that when your student turns something into Google Classroom, that they look at the feedback that I provide on that assignment and revise their work. That revision cycle is so important, and I'm not going to be able to do it in person, so students are going to need to go back into their assignments after they've turned them in and check after a day or check after 2 days and see if I provided any feedback that they can then respond to so they can still get that revision cycle, which is so critical to school success. In this case, task 1 is just setting up our laptops and getting the tech tools that they're going to need for my classroom. So there's going to be some videos on how to do that. and there's going to be a step-by-step set of instructions. Task 2 is going to be getting their composition notebook set up with the the title page and then our learning targets. So what we're going to be doing for each of the different sections: green circle, blue square, black diamond, and double black diamond. This will also have the due dates for each section. So each section will be due by a certain point. There's not going to be a due date for each individual assignment, but all of the assignments in green circle will be due by a certain point, and that will be on this sheet as well. Like I said, I'm still finalizing this. Then they get to task 3. And task 3 is a map of the 7 continents and 5 oceans, because one of the ways that we organize the globe is by the continents and oceans. Mapping is going to be a little bit tricky until we figure out a way of getting paper resources home. So the idea that I came up with, if you have a printer at your house, you can click on this blank map to print. It'll load up the blank map. You can print it at your house. If you don't have a printer, all you really need is paper and a pencil, and you can hold the paper up to your computer screen. You should be able to see the lines through your paper, and then you can just trace the map. I know it won't be perfect. I won't be expecting perfection, but it should allow you guys to do some mapping skills at home, even if we don't have access to a printer. And maybe I won't be able to send papers home. So tracing it will work. I know it's not perfect, but we're going to have to try and find some workaround solutions during remote learning. I've also uploaded a completed map here, so you can kind of get an idea of the quality of a map I'm looking for. Things should be colored neatly, and they should be colored very lightly, because if you're going to read labels, you can't color super dark on your map and then still read the label over that. So you want to make sure you're coloring lightly and labels are clear. Statera is a great study game. It allows you to test your knowledge. This one's around continents and oceans. We'll go through task 5, which talks about how we go from continents down to countries, down to states or provinces. And then within states and provinces, we have counties and cities. So we'll look at how we go from large to small, organizing the globe. And then finally, we're going to finish up the green circle activities with latitude and longitude. There's going to be some notes. They'll fill out their notebook like the template that I have here. They'll watch the video that I put together, and they'll fill out the notes as the video is moving along. And then finally, they're going to get a practice plotting coordinates based on latitude and longitude, and they're going to have to figure out where dog breeds were first bred based on a latitude and longitude. So I figure most people like dogs. That's a good way to figure out how to plot latitude and longitude. And then the big idea for the notebook, since I can't check it in person, in each section there will be a Google Classroom assignment where they just have to take pictures of their notebook. They can do that with their computer or a smartphone and upload the pictures to that assignment and then turn it in. There's videos of how to upload pictures on a computer and on a phone in the instructions for that assignment. And then finally, at the end of each section, we come to a level up quiz. And this is where they're really providing that they've mastered the material so that they're ready to move on to the next section. 2 things of importance here. First, you can take the level up quiz more than once. When you complete the quiz, it will tell you your score, but it will not tell you the correct answers for questions that you missed. So if you miss questions, you want to look at those, go back through your notes, go back through the activities that we did, and make sure you're understanding what the right answer is going to be, and then retake that quiz. Once you get 100% correct, so you've gotten every question correct, you can click this link. It will open up the email so you can send me an email saying, hey, Mr. Tanner, I just got 100% on my green circle level up quiz. Can you please check that and insert the grade? I will do that as soon as I can. I will email you right back. And then once I'll say, got it, you're good to start on blue square. And to that, you would then click here to move to unit 6. Or sorry, this will be unit 1. I haven't updated that yet. Click here to move to unit 1, blue square. And when they click on that, it will take them to the blue square activities for unit 1, Intro to Social Studies. And we're going to be starting with the themes of geography. So again, the long-term learning target hasn't changed, but now there's a blue square learning target about identifying the 5 themes of geography from a given example. So this is how my class will be organized for both social studies and science, and it will operate the same way whether we are doing remote learning or in-person learning. I started doing this last year. I think it's really successful. It allows me to spend way more time providing feedback to students than delivering notes in front of the classroom. Students will still get notes from me through YouTube videos, but this way I can provide instant feedback and really help with that revision cycle that is so important to learning. And it's why I think this is such a successful way of learning. So if you have any questions about how to navigate my class, please don't hesitate to email me. During the first week of remote learning, we'll be doing online videos daily. Now I'm going to be going through this process with each of the students and trying to answer any questions that they have so they can be as comfortable as possible. My students loved this last year. We did it for one unit and they said we have to keep doing this. So I think students this year will like it just as much. But we're going to have to be a little bit flexible in figuring out the best way to get that revision during remote learning. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good one.